All right, this is a lead pipe continued, 15 minutes, and then they don't like it longer than that on YouTube, so I have this that I had cut off and started to clean up a little bit. So I'm going to cut now. Get rid of this. Cutting. This one time. That's all you get. One chance. I need this to be in the center here. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see that, can you? The receiver is going to end up falling in the center of that brace. And I'm going to cut off this end of it. So things are going to move around. Yes, they are. So I had to have an amount to cut off of here, and that amount was 2.5 inches. So I'm going to come in 2.5 inches to there and cut this much of this off. Problem? Yes, we do have a problem to deal with. This is tapered, and this is going to get very much smaller here than it is here, which means it's going to change the fit on this from a slip fit to it's going to be a little shaky, but I'm going to show you how to deal with that. So the first thing we need to do is set up for cutting this thing off. So I'm going to pause you for a second, and I'm going to mark my 2.5 inches back. Okay, I got it marked, and I started going around with the pipe cutter. And don't put too much torque on it by tightening on the handle until it gets easy to turn, or else you'll end up bending it in. I'll show you what I'm talking about when I'm done, because there's really not any way you can keep from doing it, but I just gradually keep tightening it up as I'm going around. Sorry. And you'll start to hear it cracking. That's completely normal. It's just starting to break through, and then it'll be done. Now, what I was talking about. See how this is rolled in a little bit? There you go. It's rolled in a little bit. Because this is all precision, when you get to this point, you're going to have to straighten it out. Now on this one, it's not really that critical because this piece is going on here, but this can disrupt the sound because this is the lead pipe. So I'm going to take this little doodaddy on the back of this and work it around, take some of that flare out of it and get the burr out of the inside. I'll just keep working it around. And let's take a look at that. Focus. A little help there. Well, it's not wanting to, but you get the idea. You can see the silver ring while I was going through there. Alright, so now we have a problem that we have to deal with, because this piece is not a very good fit anymore. It's got a good bit of slop in it. So first thing I'm going to do is, remember that ring of solder? I'm going to try to get as much of that out as I can. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I need to do it so that I can make a correction, and I'll show you. Pause for a second. Alright, I have this. The only thing I did was cleaned up that solder and put this. I haven't soldered anything. This is a dry fit right now. But what I did, see how that brace right here is actually going underneath this tube that was too big and on top of the lead pipe, which looks like the brace was cut off, but it's not. It is taking up the difference. Now, I'm going to take this apart so you can see what I'm talking about. See how this is on the inside of this? This actually goes on the inside, and this pipe goes on the inside of those, so that brace piece, that brace piece is going to end up flush with the tip of that when I solder it, and then this will fit over the outside of that, and it's a good tight fit. And all this working together will make everything solid and line up, and everything is braced again. So I need to clean this off, and I need to clean this off, and then I can put these two back together, and we'll be done with that. Pausing while I clean that up. Same thing, sandpaper, steel wool, little polish. This takes a good bit of time on these two, and I will attempt to spin it in my drill like I did before, and that helps speed things up. So I'll be back. Okay, I have this thing cleaned up. No more solder marks. And this piece is cleaned up. No solder marks. So I can turn my attention to these two braces. I need to clean those out, clean them up. We're going to need this to be clean as we can get it. There's some little spots and stuff in here from the old solder. I need to clean that up. And then we'll look at soldering the lead pipe in place. Okay, all I did was took this piece of sandpaper and just kept working it in the braces until I got them all cleaned out. This is wet paper towel. I want to clean it out good. Make sure there's no dust and debris in there. Then once I get that, I'll have this set in there to braze, solder into place. It's not going to stay by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack it just in the back. Get this lined up pretty good. I'm not going to worry about where that is yet. Make sure that I get this up the front of that brace. Let's see if I can get a good picture of that. Focus, camera. That's pretty good. You can see what I'm talking about there. So I'm going to get that set right there, and then I'm just going to slide this up on there to hold it into place. And I'm going to put a little bit of solder on this back brace. Alright, so same as when we took it apart, I'm just going to put enough heat on it, on the bottom of it, to make it suck the solder up in there. And one of the biggest mistakes is putting too much. That's why I like to use this really strong solder, because it doesn't take much. And we need to set up our fluxing before we start, so let's go ahead and flux everything. Focus. There we go. This is that I told you would rust this stuff. This is a new pair of pliers because the other ones got rusted up from it. Okay, so what am I going to flux? Well, I'm going to drop flux here in this track, flux here in this track, flux around the edge of this, and the inside of this. Now it doesn't matter that it cooks off. It's just a process of it making sure everything is good and nice and clean. See how that got dirty on the end? That's just because I forgot to wipe the inside of the other tube. So let me do that real quick. This thing, I like using this kind of flux because when you go to dry fitting stuff together, if you go ahead and wet them with the flux, it'll tell on you if you got some kind of problem somewhere. Alright, so I got my flux there, put a little more flux here. This is going on here. Put my flux inside of here. And get this lined up with the edge of that. And that should be good. Get this set down in there. Alright, everything is nice and snugged up. Looks in line really well. Okay, good. Alright, now firing up the heat. Get the burning things out of the way. And I think since we're at 12.5 minutes now, I'll go ahead and stop this and start on the third part of this video. So look for continuation of the lead pipe.